So let me start by saying that the digital divide is really about inequality, as is the achievement gap. That is that all you have to do is look at your data, and what you find is the kids who have the greatest disadvantages and the schools that are serving the kids who are poorest are the schools that are doing the least well. That's almost always the case, isn't it? And why is that? Because they not only, and there's an article in the paper showing this today, are more likely to have the least qualified teachers. They're also most likely to have the inadequate resources. You know, I was at a school in San Diego last week, 25% of the kids are homeless. There's no social work at the school. You know what that means? It means teachers have to be social workers. Okay. So the disparities we see in access to technology and the internet mirror the disparities we see in achievement outcomes, mirror disparities in health, disparities in wealth, disparities in life chances. It's all part of the same picture. Okay. And why that is important is because if you try to focus only on one part of the puzzle and don't realize how they're connected, you're not going to make any headway. That's part of the reason why you've made so little headway in addressing the achievement gap. You can't focus only on schools. Anybody who's been working in schools knows this by now, or should. Guess what? Hungry kids don't do well in school. And kids without a stable place to live, they're probably not going to do too well either. Homework is an equity issue. You see those kids, some of those kids that come in with a paper, looks like a lawyer wrote it, and you know very well their dad is a lawyer. Right? Privilege matters, as does the fact that some kids have nobody help them with the homework. May not even have a place to do the homework, but they're being graded by something they don't control. So I can go on, but we ignore these connections. And because we ignore the connections, despite the rhetoric, despite the slogans, we've got great slogans, don't we? No child left behind. By now we said, okay, we're going to rebrand it, every child succeeds. We don't get it. It's not about the slogan. It's about the strategy. So if we go down to the granular level of the classroom, and we start to ask questions, how can we use technology to facilitate more effective teaching and learning? One of the things that we've got to figure out is how to use it to personalize learning for kids. Because one of the things you'll see in any classroom, if you spend time really looking at the kids, is guess what? They don't all learn the same way. And they're not all in the same place. And telling one teacher to differentiate instruction for 30 kids, it's like asking a teacher to perform magic. Okay? This is where good technology, good software can make the job of the teacher easier. And so what we need to do is find ways to use technology to help classrooms to come to life, to get kids more deeply engaged in learning. Last thing I want to say has to do with poverty. Because Sandy and I were talking about poverty being a big obstacle in this. We're talking about the fact, which communities are least likely to have access to the technology now? The poorest communities, the most isolated communities. And sometimes the isolation doesn't just occur because you live in a rural area. Sometimes people are isolated in urban areas too, right? Because they're only surrounded by other poor people, and they're not wired either. Right? And so, point to keep in mind is poverty is not just an economic condition. People aren't just poor because they don't have any money. People are also poor because they become powerless and don't know how to help themselves, don't know how to use resources to change their circumstances. This is where technology also becomes important for families. If we can get people access to information technology, if we can use it to empower, we also change mindsets and we change lives.